I'm very excited to have Uche Iziake. He is the Executive Director of Rural Watch Africa Initiative, RUWAY, a nonprofit organization with the aim of strengthening the resilience of poor and marginalized rural communities whose lives and livelihoods are being threatened due to degradation of their natural resources, climate change crisis, and social exclusion. Uche's core interest is building agroecological systems, sustainable land management and land restoration, livelihood strategies for self-sufficiency, as well as inspiring young ones to lead in climate action. Welcome to the Green Root podcast, Uche.
Thank you, Josh.
I'm so glad to have you. So you are based in Nigeria, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what is the main concern in terms of environmental issues going on in Nigeria right now? Let's maybe start from the beginning a little bit in terms of you yourself, Uche. So how did you get involved with these sorts of issues?
One of my latest publication, I don't know if you follow that on Facebook, where I wrote a little article on there, trying to narrate my personal experience or childhood experience, growing up in a rural village. Talking about environmental issues and climate change and the impact. You visit a country as like Nigeria, and the first port of call or arrival is in the city center. You will not be able to ascertain or the issues facing the vulnerable people when you talk about the climate change and all that. Some of these issues are pervasive actually in these rural communities where their source of livelihoods has been affected. And again, they have low capacity to adapt. Okay, so growing up in such a community, I understand the issues facing these people. I grew up from a community that even up to date, except some part of that village that you have access road, major part of that area don't have access road up to date. So they don't have this infrastructure. When during this season now, we are in the rainy season here in Nigeria, there have been issues of floods going on in these communities. Yesterday, I read on the news in a community over 7 persons died as a result of these flood issues and all that. Because this community don't have road, they don't have drainage, the kind of buildings there, they are not planned. People build indiscriminately wherever they get land and all kinds of things. The roads are not paved; they are just earth surface, so they don't have, proper channels, to evacuate the water when you have these rains and all that. So it becomes an issue when there's a flood like this. And when you hear certain figures that people died during a flood, something, these are just ones that are being reported. There are a lot of these issues that keep going on in this area that are not being reported. So I now said, okay, how do I come in this situation to be able to let people know what these people are facing, what they are going through? So I said, okay, we could be a voice to these people who could say they don't have a voice because nobody speaks for them. The media barely reach these areas. And because they cannot even afford the media to get the publicity, when they have issues, you contact a media person, they ask you, you have to give us a kind of honorarium, you have to give us some allowances, transport based for us to report issues going in your community. These people, they are poor. They can't afford it. So the flood may ravage the community for a whole month, and many lives lost. Nobody will hear about these issues. Nobody will report them and all that. So it's okay, we could also come in here to begin to advocate for them, begin to speak for them, begin to engage the government, begin to engage the stakeholders to see how they can come in to ameliorate these people's suffering, the kind of challenges they go through. So that is actually how the whole thing coming. And again, because growing up, because I'm the person that grew up in such a community, So I have the passion. I understand their situation. If I hear that one person died in a flood related issues, I could understand what that family is going through at the moment. So from there, we begin to mobilize people, get community actually involved. Even for my own community, I have to also gather them that see, you have to get involved. In 2016, I got involved in a project we called Stand Up to Be Counted. So it's actually to mobilize indigenous people to participate in their own developmental initiative and activities. So we use that platform. Actually, I was appointed to serve as the director media publicity and strategy in that project. I also double as the assistant project coordinator. So we began to engage the community, begin to market the whole idea to the indigenous people, how they could get involved. That if you don't do it, nobody will do it for you. If you don't say, here I am, nobody will know that you've been here all the while. So you have to stand up to be counted. You have to stand up and speak for yourself. You have to stand up and begin to learn how to engage the political leaders. All right, the elected, those people you elected during elections. So you begin to speak on these issues. So using all kinds of media apparatus, using the social media and also the conventional media and direct engagement, I began to mobilize these people. And in fact, now the results have been quite tremendous because people in that community are beginning to get involved. We must not wait for the government to fix our road, to do our drainage for ourselves, to plant trees, to get involved in agricultural activities. We have to start within ourselves. We'll have to start helping ourselves. So we have to form a kind of a cooperative and associations. So I even went to the extent of mobilizing people from that community. They are Nigerians, but they don't live here. They live in the US. Some of them live in the UK and Canada and other North America and all those people. So I use the social media platform to bring all these people under one umbrella. I'll begin to discuss issues facing people, these rural communities, the environmental issues that are going in there, that is aggravating the poverty situation concerning these people. And they bought into this whole agenda. It's okay that we want to get involved. We love what you're doing. We haven't seen a thing like this all the while. So it's a kind of something rare to us. So we have to get involved. So today, people in that community could now see an indigene come up and say, okay, we want to take up a project. We want to do this for the community. We want to do this. We want to do that. I also use that same platform to engage the government because that community, later on, I could share you some images from that community. You could see before and after. Okay, you could see the kind of road they have, kind of see the kind of infrastructure they have there. I began to engage the government, the relevant government agencies to come in. So I use the social media to engage them, and they replied me. Not quite long, then they came in and started constructing a road in that community that they got a report from my social media advocacy and all that. So from there, I said, okay, if this could, we could achieve such a result in a very short while. So why don't I go further to formally get my initiative registered and begin to get involved in other areas, not just for that community, but for the entire rural areas in Nigeria and Africa.